Hi, everybody. My name is Mitch Goldstein, and I teach art and design at the Rochester Institute of Technology in upstate New York. And I just want to take a few minutes to talk to you about how to kind of get through this thing we're all going through as a creative practitioner. So as someone who makes things, be it art or design or writing or music or food or movies or whatever, how do we kind of deal with what we're going through right now? I think the first thing to understand is that there is no right answer to this. Nobody knows how to deal with this because nobody alive has ever had to deal with something like this before. There is no best practice. There is no correct way to do anything. In fact, I'm actually looking at notes right now because I am incapable of concentrating on anything for more than a couple of minutes. So I'm sure many of you feel the same way. So please don't think that there's some established principle that is perfect to how to deal with this. And especially not for me. I'm just a guy trying to figure it out just like you. I really don't know what I'm doing, and I imagine most of you feel exactly the same way. So with that in mind, anybody who tells you anything, you got to understand you don't have to care. You don't have to think they're right just because they have a big following or they have a lot of people paying attention to them. They're not necessarily right. So anything I say, take it or leave it. It's fine with me. Having said that, there's a few things, having thought about this a lot, talked to a lot of people, that I do think you maybe should and should not do. The first thing I think you should not do is allow toxicity into your life right now. You want to eliminate as much toxic stuff as humanly possible. Now, obviously, the easy target for that is Twitter, which, as we know, is a toxic nightmare many of the time. But as much as it would be easy for me to say you should quit social media, I'm not going to quit social media. I doubt you're going to quit social media, but I would not hesitate for a second to block or unfollow or both anybody either tweeting toxic garbage or retweeting toxic garbage. You don't need it in your life. You should not hesitate for an instant to block people like that. You also should use the mute option on Twitter. You can mute a bunch of keywords, which I got a huge list of keywords that I mute because it just keeps me sort of grounded in reality a little bit. I also don't think you need to necessarily obsess over the news. You might want to do that. I look at the news for about 2 minutes in the morning and then I'm done for the day. I just can't handle it anymore. It isn't making me feel better. I don't feel more informed. I just feel scared and panicked. So other thing I think you should really maybe not do right now is to get caught up in the hustle. We all have heard that word a million times. I do not think this is a time to fetishize the hustle. You do not have to do anything other than make it through this reality right now. It is totally fine to slow down. It is totally fine to spend time thinking. It is totally fine to spend a week watching Netflix. It doesn't matter. No matter what you see, no matter which influencer you follow or which hashtag you read, you do not have to do anything that isn't good for you. So if you want to hustle, that's fine, but please don't feel like you need to. You absolutely do not need to. Now, some stuff that I think you can do, and again, this is just my opinion, but first thing I think you can do is this might actually be a really good time to absorb stuff, to take things in rather than put stuff out. There's a ton of ways you can do that. You can certainly listen to music and movies and read a bunch of books and things like that. Might be a good time to actually maybe seek out new movies, new kinds of music, new books you haven't read. It's a really good chance to sort of settle down into something that you maybe wouldn't normally look at. I also think that this is a really good time to maybe learn a piece of software you've been putting off. Most of us probably have Adobe Creative Cloud, and most of us probably use 2 or 3 programs in Creative Cloud. This is a great opportunity to get to learn a bunch of other stuff that maybe you didn't. There are places like Skillshare, LinkedIn.com Learning, lots of different things that you can do. And something that you probably don't know is if you have a public library card, which you can get for free and get online, you probably have access to LinkedIn Learning. Also, if you go to a college or an institution, you also probably have free access to LinkedIn Learning. So this is a great chance to do something like that. And the reason why I say this is it's a very defined thing to learn. It is not an open anything goes conversation. It is one piece of software with very clear written demos and tutorials, and it's just a nice thing to kind of focus on without having to worry about making good work or anything like that. So secondly, I think if you do want to be creative, and again, you don't need to be, some people do not have the time or the bandwidth to make anything. Some people have more than enough time. Some people have no time and are busier than they've ever been in their entire life right now, dealing with sort of the repercussions of what we're dealing with. If you do want to make stuff, which again is great, I would suggest you make stuff that has kind of low stakes, stuff that is not necessarily important to make. I do not think now is the time to create an app that solves COVID-19. You do not have to make a world-changing piece of art or design right now. It's okay not to do that. I think you can make stuff for you that quite honestly might be garbage, and I think that is just fine. I think lowering the stakes, lowering the pressure on yourself to just make things is probably a good idea. Now, I've always said that making things almost always feels better than not making things. That might have changed a little bit because of sort of the reality we're in right now. But if you do feel like making things, cut yourself a break. You do not have to redo your entire portfolio during this thing. Just make something because making things feels good to make stuff. Now, with this in mind, I actually created a workshop called the Obstructions Workshop, which is about exactly this. It's really about just making stuff to make things. It gives you a couple of parameters. You have no minimum, no maximum. You make stuff, you post it. People give you a little bit of feedback. It's all kind of private and together. It isn't out in the world. And it's just like a really safe space to kind of dial into one thing and try to do some stuff. Again, if you do not have the bandwidth for this, please do not feel like you need to do it. You really, really don't need to do it. But if you want to make something beyond just your job, beyond things you have to do, it might be a really nice way to kind of just focus in on something. And that is online at obstructions.work. It is completely free. It will always be free. It is very low pressure. Hope to see you there if you're interested. If not, no problem. I'm not offended. The last thing that I think we should be doing, and for me, this is actually really the most important, is I think we should be connecting with other people. I had no clue how much I missed human interaction until this whole thing started and I began isolating. I teach college, so I really miss just like walking across campus, seeing somebody I know and doing that guy, right? Hey, so I really miss that. I had no clue how that important that was. It is incredibly important to me. I crave it deeply. Human beings are social animals. And so I think something that you could do, which is good for you and for other people, is to simply reach out and say hi, to connect with other people. This could certainly be famous people that you admire. Anybody who makes anything right now who is alive has an email address. Most of them also probably have a social media account. Send them a DM, give them a tweet. Don't try to get a job. Don't kind of make strategic connections in your network. Don't ask them to follow you on LinkedIn. Don't pick their brain, which is absolutely the worst thing you could possibly say. Just say, hi, I really appreciate what you're doing. I hope you and your family are safe. That's it. I cannot tell you how much that means to people. I can only speak for myself, but it means a lot to me when people do that. It's really important. It reminds me that there are other people out there. There are other people dealing with this same thing. Nobody is going to be irritated. You sent them a message saying, I like what you do. Nobody's going to be irritated by that. I really think that maybe more than making a personal project right now, maybe more than redoing your portfolio or anything like that, I think just human connection is really, really important. I know it sounds kind of pathetic, but I absolutely love it when I wake up in the morning and see a DM in my Twitter or my Instagram inbox. I know that's really pathetic, but it's really true. It makes me feel so much better. It just reminds me other people are out there and that this is something we're all kind of going through together. So I love chatting with people. I can tell you from experience that other people also love chatting with people. So just reach out, say hi. No agenda. You're not trying to get something. You're just saying hi because talking to other human beings is really important. As I said before, I always have said that making things generally feels better than not making things. And I think making a friend or making a connection counts as making something. I think making a conversation with someone counts as making something. It makes me feel a lot better. It makes other people feel a lot better. I think it might make you feel a lot better. So I am delighted if you ever want to DM me. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I am excited and would be very much welcome any messages from you all. I'm at mgoldst on Instagram and Twitter, but really just reach out to people. Just say hi. Don't have some kind of ulterior motive or anything like that. And the thing you got to really remember about this whole thing, whether you like it or not, we are all in this together. There is no alone anymore. Maybe we are isolated, but we are in this thing together and we're going to get through it together. And I think that that human connection, that basic human interaction is just so incredibly important. I really recommend you reach out to people. Just say hi. So with that, I want to thank you. I really hope that you are healthy and safe. I hope the people that you love and care about are healthy and safe. And I hope you stay safe. Thank you.